okay, if I buy Bitcoin, it really doesn't have any intrinsic value. If I buy Bitcoin, then it doesn't have any utility. It doesn't really do anything. It's money 2.0. It's finance to the next level. And I think this will disrupt a lot of the things that we are seeing. This will disrupt a lot of the financial institutions that are centralized in nature. Hey guys, happy Monday. By the time I'm making this video, Bitcoin dropped to as low as 31,650 from a 15-minute chart time frame. So now at least from a short-term candlestick perspective, we are seeing Bitcoin start to recover a bit. And we're also seeing it that it seems like it's building a support level close to the 30,000 US dollar mark. While Bitcoin was going down, we saw a lot of cryptocurrencies drop, the likes of BNB, Ethereum, Cake. We've seen them have a lot of massive downward selling pressure, but similar to Bitcoin, we've also seen them bounce quite a bit. I woke up a bit early today for an ANC Market Edge interview where I shared bits and pieces of my insights in the crypto market, and which is nice also in general because I love it when there are avenues where we get to convey information that could help people make the right decisions when it comes to their investments. And what's so interesting about it is that the cryptocurrency market is very, very new, and that it's so important for people to have the right information so they get to decide on what it is. I want to expound on 3 questions that were given in the interview. So what I'm going to do, show you a clip of it, then I'm going to expound even more about it. If you guys want to check out that entire interview, it's uploaded in ANC's Facebook page, and I think it will be in YouTube also. It consumes a lot of electricity, but as compared to what traditional financial institutions need to power its entire financial mechanism, compare it to the newer tokens and coins that are coming out, cryptos are relatively efficient. So the first question was about, is crypto harmful for the environment? And I answered that question in 2 folds. Number 1, all the talk is about Bitcoin, but people need to have a deeper understanding on what Bitcoin is, and people need to have a deeper understanding of how its validation actually works. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of the older types of cryptocurrencies uses a proof of work mechanism. You have a bunch of computers solving mathematical transactions so that they can validate a transaction. And when a transaction is validated, they get rewarded, in this scenario, Bitcoin. That makes Bitcoin, Ethereum, which uses proof of work, a very, very, very secure network. You have a lot of computers confirming, validating all of the transactions. The problem with proof of work is it has a lot of scalability issues, meaning when you have a lot of miners in the system and when you have a lot of transactions, it will take a longer time for it to be processed, and it will be also more expensive. Computers, by the way, that are being used for mining require very, very high capacity and very, very high processing speeds for them to be able to solve those complex transactions. Those complex transactions that need sophisticated computers all require a large amount of electricity. However, that is only for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of the other older cryptocurrencies. For those who have been watching this channel for quite some time, you do know that Ethereum, which is using proof of work, is also shifting already from proof of work to proof of stake, which is part of its Ethereum 2.0 project, which will happen in 1 to 2 years. I don't know what the specific timeline of when it will be finished, but when it moves from that, you would see lesser computing power, at least for the Ethereum network. A lot of the other cryptocurrencies / tokens that we have in the market right now, especially the new ones, are using proof of stake, proof of authority, or they have other validation methods that are more efficient, that are faster, and consumes lesser electricity. So in my opinion, that will talk that cryptocurrencies are bad for the environment, it's taken out of context. That if you look at the future, it's actually moving into something that's actually more sustainable. Please remember that miners act as businesses also, meaning their main intention, that's why they're mining, is they want to earn a profit. And in business, for you to get a very, very, very good net income, one way is to massively get large amount of revenues, but in essence also lessen the amount of expenses that you have. And in Bitcoin mining, electricity is the biggest cost that they actually have. A lot of these miners are in countries that are relatively cold, like Iceland, some parts of Europe, that are pushing towards renewable energy. And I saw a report from ARK Invest saying that 76% of Bitcoin miners are using renewable energy because renewable energy is 50% cheaper than fossil fuel. So it's in their best interest to actually shift and transition into renewable energy because it will make their bottom line bigger and better. Majority of at least the tokens that are being created right now are not being built primarily just for a medium of exchange. It just has a function of a medium of exchange because it's a token, but a lot of them, their programs are being built around it because of the ability of it riding the blockchain network. Okay, that question was basically about central banks and Bitcoin. So the narrative is shifting that a lot of people, even myself, don't really see Bitcoin as a currency that you will use for day-to-day transactions. As what I've mentioned, Bitcoin right now is using proof of work, but the whole narrative for Bitcoin is it's a storer of value. It's something where you put ₱1,000,000, you put 10 million pesos, you put 500,000 pesos, you put 50,000 pesos, it can retain, keep its value, and even give you an upside. Similar to what you would see for paintings, similar to what you would see for watches, similar to what you would see for other asset classes out there, where people would put the argument that, okay, if I buy Bitcoin, it really doesn't have any intrinsic value. If I buy Bitcoin, then it doesn't have any utility. It doesn't really do anything. The same could be said for paintings. The same could be said for Rolex watches. The same could be said for gold. And if you talk about gold, gold can be used for certain jewelry, for certain integrated circuits, but comparing it to other metals, comparing it to copper, comparing it to steel, comparing it to silver, comparing it to aluminum, gold really doesn't have a lot of utility. It's just really there because it holds value. It's just really there because it hedges the dollar. What's interesting about Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin is massively, 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 massively better than gold. If you're invested in gold, you have stockpiled a lot of gold bars in your house. The problem there is how will you protect yourself? Security for gold is hard, but not just that. It's hard for you also to transport it. Imagine how heavy gold bars are. And number 3, if you want to sell it, for retailers like us, we're not the large institutions, it would be generally hard to be able to sell, to be able to liquidate it, even though you know that it's a good hedge up against the dollar, it's a good hedge up against when there are uncertain times. But you won't be able to swap it easily into something that's close to cash. Unlike Bitcoin, it solves the problems of you not being worried that you will be robbed. Although, of course, there are risks for that. It's in the digital space. It's easy for you to store. It's also easy for you to move. And it's also easy for you to swap back to cash. And that's why I believe that Bitcoin is gold 2.0, and it's even a massively, massively, massively better version of gold. It can do so many things that gold cannot. I mentioned this in the interview that gold has been around for quite some time, but there's still a lot of gold to be mined. Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be mined. Once the last Bitcoin is mined, there will be no more Bitcoin, meaning there's so much scarcity in it. And if you compare it, supply and demand, anything that's scarce, in my opinion, is far more valuable than something that you can get still on a regular basis. So I don't think Bitcoin will be in competition with other centralized government cryptocurrencies, primarily because the intention for the use of it will be totally different. People will be holding Bitcoin because it's also decentralized. No government in the world owns it, but it's something in a way that will give you larger upside if you hold on to it more than you transact it on a regular basis. A lot of the use cases for a lot of the new tokens that are coming out, they're not really being built just for a medium of exchange. It's money 2.0. It's finance to the next level. And I think this will disrupt a lot of the things that we are seeing. This will disrupt a lot of the financial institutions that are centralized in nature. And this will help a lot of people that, for example, people who don't have access to credit suddenly can have a chance to get a loan. People also who are having a hard time remit their money, suddenly they now have a chance also that their money gets sent at a very, very efficient and timely manner. I think it will come to a point where you can see government centralized crypto, that we will have a space that they can all work together, function together, and be present in the future. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. Things like that are things I can't control. And if you've been following my channel for quite some time, my technique and my style in everything is I try to put as much time, attention, and money into things that I can control.
Over the last few days, when there was a crypto crash, were you buying? Were you buying the dip?
Yep, I was accumulating, yeah. So the third question was basically, what was I doing during the drop? And for those who weren't able to see some of my videos over the past few days, I was primarily stacking. I was also accumulating. And I guess that's where a lot of the conviction that I have and that you should have also in terms of the tokens and the cryptos that you are buying, because it's hard to buy, it's hard to accumulate, it's hard to stack in the cryptocurrency space if you don't understand what you're getting into. It's hard to accumulate and stack if you don't know what you're buying. And for me, it's just the same thing. Since there's a lot of uncertainty, I focused my fire on the ones that I know are big, the ones that I know also are built to last, and the things that are either on top of its category. And that's why I've been spending a lot of time at least deploying towards Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB, not just primarily because they're the top cryptos in terms of market cap, but because Ethereum and BNB have a lot of utility. I forgot not to mention BNB also in the interview, but it's an amazing token because it's not just being used inside the Binance ecosystem. It's also something that you can use if you're using the BSC network. But not just that, I like VET because of its applications in the supply chain layer. And I also invested more on Cake because I love DEXs. I really believe decentralized exchanges, which allows people to pool and allows people to become liquidity providers, and they get incentivized also for pooling their money, are the future. I think decentralized finance and decentralized exchanges will play a very, very big part, and the yields also that you could get when you pool from PancakeSwap is something that you don't get in traditional investments. So right now it's bouncing. However, should there be any downward drops also, it's very, very important for me to exercise proper risk management. But every time that there would be drops, I would be stacking, I would be adding, not just because we're thinking about them that they could possibly go up, but because of the utility that they provide, because of how amazing they are, and because that they provide something that could possibly help and disrupt and change the way we live our lives as Filipinos. Two things. Largest investment conference in the country is happening this Friday and Saturday, Icon 2021. I'll put the links in the description below, but we have 14 amazing speakers. We're going to talk about stocks, cryptocurrencies, entrepreneurship, what's happening to the economy, and so much more. Also, for those who want to know more about investing using technical analysis, we have a course on that happening this July. It will be via Zoom. So if you want to learn what are candlesticks, what are MACD, what are moving averages, what are support and resistance, what are trend lines, what are Bollinger Bands, what are parabolic SARs, that's what we will talk about there. It's 2 weeks of pure deep dives, giving you the proper understanding of technicals, which you can apply to the Philippine stock market, the US stock market, and the crypto market as a whole. And if you want to learn more about this also by reading books, I have 5 books which gives you the basics of investments up until technical and fundamental analysis in the stock market. And if you want to learn more about all of those topics, you can grab a copy of that by clicking the links in the description below. And lastly, if you want to invest in the crypto market, check out Binance. It's one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world. And if you want to invest and hodl and even trade altcoins, you can do that as well. So that's it for now. I hope you guys got a lot from this, and I hope that this is something that's insightful. To recap everything that I said, I really believe the crypto space is not harmful for the environment. Number 2, I really believe that Bitcoin is a storer of value, and there are other tokens also that have a lot of utility that are above and beyond merely being used for a medium of exchange. And number 3, I use drops like this as an opportunity for me to stack. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.